Hi everybody and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Here on Truck King, we love to tow trailers. That's because we test pickup trucks the right way. Now normally when we tow our flat deck trailer, we don't really need an equalizing hitch, but when we do travel trailers, yes, you should get an EQ hitch, and today that's exactly what this video is all about. The folks over at Blue Ox sent us their new TrackPro equalizing hitch, and we're gonna set it up and see how it works, and then just in general talk to you about EQ hitches and the benefits of them. So in this video, we're gonna set this sucker up. This is pretty much a new process to us, so you're gonna be experiencing it for the first time, just like we are, and then we'll get out there, tow this trailer, and see how it feels. Okay, Dad, so step one was park the vehicle on a straight level surface. I think we've accomplished that. And step two, install the hitch head receiver into the truck. And I guess right off the top, let's just talk about real quick this split tailgate in the Ram. When you're doing work on your hitch or setting up an equalizing hitch, it's really handy, right?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it until actually I set it up, but because I had the tailgate down, and I went, wait a minute, if we split this open, I can put everything right there and still reach that. Otherwise, I'd be opening and closing the tailgate, so just one of those little things.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get her in there.
All right. So...
Next step is to level the trailer off. So we will get her nice and flat and then measure the coupler height. Keep going. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
Just a little under 21 3/4. We'll call it 22 for the, yeah, 21 3/4.
Okay, 21 and 3.
All right. All I got to say is that camera you're holding is a hell of a lot lighter than this damn thing.
That's working today.
Oh, man.
Earning that big YouTube money.
I didn't care about my grandkids. All right.
Okay, so then we got to just measure this ball height. And because we're in a Ram, there's a special provision right in the instructions that says it's got to be 2 inches taller than our hitch coupler. So let's measure. Grab your tape measure there. And what do you
we're
see?
Just a hair under 24, and we were at 21 3/4 plus 2, 23 3/4.
Okay.
We're almost dead nuts on.
So maybe a tiny bit tall. But again, they say Rams, because they have coil springs in the rear, it's going to squat more than, other half tons. So I guess we'll see.
Okay, so now lock washers and...
Lock washers and hex nuts.
Hex nuts. Squat's good.
Still going?
I think because it's longer too. Like, see how much further back that is than a normal hitch head?
Sure.
Okay, there, we're clear now.
Nice. Now the truck's supporting all the weight, and yeah, she's squatting. Now we need to figure out where to mount our brackets here on the trailer. And you'll see most trailers have their propane tanks up front, and it says 20 to 25 inches right from the ball coupler. So what do you think, Dad? Is the tanks, are they in the way?
Yeah, pretty much. The only spot that's open is at about 26 inches.
Okay.
So I don't know what that's going to mean for us.
But we're going to put it in just basically right at the back of those tanks as close as possible and get it. But this is something that a lot of trailer owners definitely have to deal with, because it's common to have your propane tanks up front, right?
Now you might have to move this pan forward. If the pan was moved forward a couple inches,
fair enough.
It'd be okay. So they won't turn, and this is what's going to support the L bracket based on its length once we get it on here.
Got it. All right. Does seem like the kind of job where 2 people would be handy, just to have someone else to hold things.
Or somebody,
rather than a guy who's just holding a camera bugging you.
Yeah, or somebody to argue with. That's not the way it goes.
And then there's a couple different choices there on the bottom, and that's just going to depend on, I think, the thickness of your frame, basically, right? You want it to be as close on the bottom as possible.
Yeah.
So it gives you some options.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on what kind of trailer you have.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what we're looking at right there.
Yeah, and again, where those two bolts are, exactly where the L bracket goes, that is rated our 25-inch mark, probably even a little shorter. But the instructions say 20 to 25, so it's right in the range.
So yeah, that looks, I think that's okay. I think that's kind of where we're at here, right?
Cool.
So with the hitch, you get bars. There are several different types of bars available. Not types, but as far as weight carrying characteristics. These are the lightest bars. They come with a single notch. This is what they call a 600-pound bar. So if we're working with a 10% tongue weight, we're talking about around a 6,000-pound trailer right in that area. But you can also go 8,000 pounds. You can also go up as high as 10,000 pounds with this one. So you only get the bars that you need, but at some point, if you upgrade your trailer, you don't have to replace the whole hitch. Just get another set of bars. YouTube star Stephen Elmer doing manual labor. Something is very, very wrong.
Well, this is our last step, just to tighten everything up and make sure these brackets are good to go. And next up, we'll get the bars on. Okay, so you guys can see I just installed this L bracket here. There's actually different height settings. We're putting it at the lowest setting, and that's because you want 2 to 3 inches. Oh, I cut myself. See, I am working hard, for real.
Nice.
Anyways, 2 to 3 inches of bend in this bar. So again, we kind of eyeballed it here. We can measure it after, but that's why we went to the lowest setting. And then if you needed to change that, you could, and I guess I gotta go clean myself up now. We're about to put our spring bars on. The trailer weight's on the truck. First, we're gonna do a little bit of measuring. So Dad's measuring to the bottom of that fender.
Yep.
And what do we got?
28 inches.
28 even, right to the bottom of that red painted fender right there. And now why don't we go do the back too? And then once we put the spring bars on, we'll see how much this changes. But the bottom should, or I should say the front should be coming down.
So what do you think? Here, should we just go to the wheel top of the wheel well?
Sure.
Looks like 36 and a half.
That's 36 and a half. Yep, that's 36 and a half here on the rear. And now let's get the spring bars on and see what happens. Okay, so now we're just gonna take the weight off of the truck. Then we'll hook up our weight bars here. And then we'll drop the trailer back down and re-measure. And we should be sitting quite a bit more level. There you go. Come on, baby. Pop off of there. I can just give it a little kick. There it is. There you go. Now that's in place. You can see it's already got a bit of pressure on it, and of course that weight is just going to increase as we lower the tongue.
Okay. Well, so now we just put it back down, right?
Yep. Okay, jack foot going up. Well, visually that was a ton less squat.
Yeah, well, it certainly went up a lot quicker.
Yeah, way quicker. So I can't wait to measure those and see the difference. But let's just go look again, just straight up eyeballing it. That truck looks flat, man. So what do you think?
So we're actually a little under, right?
Well, about half an inch.
Yeah.
The front end dropped down about half an inch, 27 and a half, a little bit less, I guess.
A little bit less, but...
it wasn't that bad to begin with, but still a half inch.
No, but it transferred the weight now to the front, right?
Exactly. So now we'll see what we're doing over here.
37, right on.
So that's a half an inch. This came up. So half an inch on the front, you came down, and half an inch on the rear, you came up.
Yeah.
And that's all she needed. And again, looking at her, sitting here,
yeah,
looks really nice.
It just looks straight up level. Dead level. Now the thing is to go see how it feels.
Yeah, we're going to take her for a spin now. and go see how it drives. But I don't know, Dad, overall installation process?
You know what? Honestly, it was simpler than I thought.
Yeah, good instructions.
And if it's your trailer and once the brackets are on now, then it's a lot simpler, because right now, of course, we installed the whole thing. You're not going to have to install those brackets again.
No, once it's on forever until you trade up trailer or truck. All right, let's go for a drive. Okay, folks, now we're out here on the road, and before we talk about the hitch, let me mention the truck. So this is a 2020 Ram Bighorn V6. So this is just the base engine, and you should know right away, we've already done a full review on this truck, a full towing payload review. So if you want to see that, click up here in the corner. I'll throw a card up there, and make sure you go watch the full review. The thing you really need to know about this truck, though, is a fairly low tow rating, only about 6,400 pounds, and the trailer we have on is about 5,500 pounds. So we're pushing this truck. There's no doubt about that. And we're on the highway right now. So like usual, Dad, what are your butt sensors telling you about this trailer, this truck?
First things first, we're on Highway 11. We're running at 110 kilometers an hour, which translates to 70 miles an hour. It's a decent sized trailer. I mean, I can let go of the wheel, and it basically, all it wants to do is wander off the crown of the road. It feels very connected, and we're actually going to do some lane changes here, a little aggressively. And you know what? You get
feel it.
Yeah, well, you do. You get a tail swing, but then it snaps back, and that's it. It's done. It's finished.
Exactly.
It's good. I like this.
We should talk about some of the unique things about the TrackPro specifically. So first of all, Blue Ox says that you can back up with this type of hitch, and there are certain types of equalizing hitches where you just can't back up. They don't offer you that range of motion that this hitch does. Now, you're not going to be jackknifing with this hitch on, but you're going to get a larger range of motion than for most equalizing hitches. And that is because it's a pressure-based system, or a friction-based system, more accurately. So the bars, those spring bars, they're sitting right on those L brackets. It's metal on metal. Now that's allowing you to have that range of motion, but it also brings us to probably the biggest downside of this type of hitch, and it's noise. When you're taking a tight corner at slow speed, that metal on metal, you hear it. I don't know, we've heard it a couple times today, but it's not that bad.
No, you know why it's not bad? Because when you know what it is, you don't worry about it.
True.
Noises bother you when it suddenly happens and you're like, yeah, no clue what that is, and then you think something's falling apart. But, you know, to your point, just to add, most equalizing hitches in the past had chains. So they were hanging on chains, and you had to move those links up or down to give you the appropriate pressure. However, past that, they did nothing as far as anti-sway. So this system actually incorporates both of those, as you said, because the bars are actually sitting steel on steel, and the anti-sway comes from the fact that you've got this tremendous pressure and this friction. And hey, steel on steel, it's going to squeal. That's it. So, but you know, again, that's what it's supposed to do. But one other thing with the chain link type systems, I think the real downfall of those was the anti-sway bar, which was a bar only on the one side of the hitch, basically one bar running through you know, a sleeve, and then you screwed in this oversized nut, which would then create that tension. And those had very, very little in the way of maneuverability. So yeah, you could work on the highway, you could make turns on the street, but once you were backing into your campsite, anybody who knew anything would immediately go back and unhook all that crap because it was going to screw you right up.
Yeah.
If I owned this unit, I would absolutely want the equalizing hitch. I'm driving with 2 fingers, and it just feels solid and planted, and even at 75 miles an hour, you know, almost 120 kilometers an hour, nothing to it. And I've made a couple of aggressive lane changes, the kind that you do when some idiot in front of you pulls something stupid, and you know what, other than one quick snap, it came right back into line. I can't say enough good things about this.
I think too, you just brought up an important question there, which is just generally, when do you need an equalizing hitch? And you know, there's a lot of kind of schools of thought here. I think first of all, a basic rule of thumb is if you're over half the tow rating on your vehicle, you should probably get an EQ hitch. But that's not a blanket rule, because it depends on what you are towing. We normally tow our flat deck trailer. That flat deck has so little sway because there's no aerodynamic drag.
There's no wind resistance.
No wind resistance. So with a flat deck, I mean, yes, should you have an EQ hitch if you get heavy? Sure. But does it really feel like you need it? Not really. This trailer today, absolutely you should have an equalizing hitch, because if you just get a strong crosswind, it's going to push that trailer around like crazy. So especially with something like a travel trailer, maybe a big heavy boat even, something that might catch the wind, you want to be more aware of an equalizing hitch. Well, everybody, that is it for this one. We had a great towing experience with this Blue Ox TrackPro. It did everything it was supposed to do, and it definitely has some unique features that set it apart in this equalizing hitch space. So if you're looking for an EQ hitch, make sure you check out Blue Ox. So like I said, that is it for this one. Why don't you go below now, leave us a comment, let us know what you think of the hitch, the truck, the trailer. As always, we did a full walk around on this trailer too, so go check that out here on the channel. And don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.